there you go. What happened? What's going on today, Jamie?
Hello, everybody. Well, welcome to what was another interesting day in the market, to say the least. The volatility is still with us and probably will be for the foreseeable future. Not the best close today and not the worst close. I tell you what, let's go ahead and get the legal mumbo jumbo over with while we're waiting on anyone in attendance is aware of the fact that all the information that we share with you guys is for educational purposes only. If you do need investment advice, please seek out someone like a registered investment advisor or a Series 7 licensed stockbroker. They can legally dispense investment advice, buy and sell, all that good stuff to you. Once again, all the information we present is for educational purposes only. Always like to tout at the top of the hour here, just, primary battle. So up at the top here, you can see it all starts with Barry's Trading Room, hosted by yours truly, Barry Anderson. He opens the room up every day, 30 minutes before the open. And, general crowd in there, 400 people, depending on what the market's doing. If we're going through any turmoil like we might be doing right now, could be a lot more people in there. But you have traders from all skill levels and really have to be a subscriber if you want to get in there and explore the room. First, Q&A demo. Well, actually, the trade of the week is not listed here, but we do have trade of the week on Tuesday. That's with Mr. Steve Gomez, and Andy's going to ride shotgun with him. Then Wednesdays come around and we give you the CEO and founder, Mr. Dan Merkin, along with our Chief Technical Officer, Brad Williams. Always entertaining with those guys. Always a good time to see some of the features that are coming down the developmental pipeline and just the sidekick. And then, of course, our support webinar. We've changed it up a bit. TI Uniport Hour for anything TI related, whether it's as simple as what does this filter do or help me configure this. Now, the simulated trading, our paper trading module, which, man, I can't even remember when it was released. It feels like it was a year ago, but it wasn't that long. We've made it a lot easier to paper trade with trade ideas, because before you had to have a broker dealer, you had to use their data, probably had to pay a little bit for that data. It was just another hoop that you had to jump through. Not anymore. Need for any additional connections, no need to go out and open a brokerage account, no need to fund an account, no need to pay any, whether it's the automated strategies that you're paper trading or manual trading, it's a great paper trading interface. I've noticed on my algorithmic paper trading, when I do run the AI or some of the strategies that I've developed, it gives you realistic fills. In other words, when I'm automating Holly for the day in paper mode, I'm not getting the exact same prices. I'm getting actual, what you could call worse prices, but that's realistic because it's in essence building in slippage for you for more realistic expectations. So if you haven't been using the paper trading feature, highly recommend it. Even somebody that's a seasoned trader, when you're first testing out maybe a new algo, that you've developed, you always want to run it in simulation mode first. And this is a great way to do it. Or whether you're just starting out, paper trading with manual point and click, a great place to start. So just trying to make your life a little bit easier there. All right, and here we are at Andy's agenda here. Of course, he usually steps in and does the market recap, and I follow up with the Holly recap. Just taking a look here, looks like Andy is still missing in action. So while we're waiting for Andy to hopefully arrive, we're just going to go ahead and take a peek at Holly's activity today. And while there is a sparse amount of spread that we can see here between conservative profit and moderate profit, not a whole lot to go around. A lot of stop outs this morning, or stop outs and profit saves to the tune of right at the stop out level. You're seeing all these levels here right at $100, and the reason being, if I click on my tools and go to options here, go to my AI trade sizing, you can see that I'm risking $100 per trade. That way you can make sense of all these figures here. So if we just take a quick look over here at the channel bar, we can see that 1.0 came in with 9, 2.0 came in with 3. So we have NEO rounding up the back end here with 5. So all in all, 17 signals that the AI produced today between the three different. So these pretty much cancel each other. One that sticks out as far as extract arrow coinciding, a nice wiggle in the next 15-minute bar. 1760 was the entry. Threw us a wiggle all the way up to 1698, almost 17, but stopping with a pretty good gap between it and the cycle down pretty nicely. Okay. Now the shaded area right here, you might be asking yourself, well, why is that shaded? This shaded area right here is going to coincide with the time the AI spent in the trade in conservative mode right here. So we can see Holly closes it out somewhere right about here in this little bitty candle here and books on $100 risk, a $36.96 profit there. However, had we stayed in the trade until the close, we could have made, roughly speaking, not quite 4 times the amount there. All right, 4 times would be about 140, just shy of that at 120 headed into the close. So the way you make sense of this in real time is when we see the AI making an exit, we just quickly sum it up and go, number one, do I like what's been going on in this trade thus far? And does it look like it might continue? Well, after getting this little, this little wiggle after the first 15-minute candle after the entry bar, we got nice downward movement. And something to take note of right here in this area right here. That's a tiny little bar, but where did it close? It closed under this green line that you see right here, the 10-period simple moving average, otherwise known as the fast line. So a lot of the times, not all the time, but a good majority of the time, something that's in motion, this thing's going to act as the guiding hand, and it certainly did in this case. So once we got the close right here, which happened to coincide with Holly closing out the trade, kind of makes our decision here to stay in and accept more risk a little bit more clear. Okay, it's never a guarantee, but we got the close between below the 10 period here, and then we just had a nice little leg down on the next 15-minute candle, a little flat action, another little leg down, and then into the close, easy peasy. So as you can see here, no spread here on the FXY, conservative, and as we can see, the shaded area goes all the way here. So she pretty much held on to this one all day. If we take a look at pullback short here, it puts in front of me an auxiliary pattern that is just on the cusp of playing out. So on the FXY, pullback short, we had actually the worst odds of the day here. But typically when you see a low percentage or a lower percentage winning strategy, what the reason we have a lower percentage is because behind the scenes, the average winner is going to be much, much larger than the average loser. The smaller the spread between average winner and loser, there's a direct correlation between a higher winning percentage. So on pullback short here, we didn't have the most spectacular odds, but we know that if this one works, it could turn out well for us. But having said that, look at what's about to happen. And matter of fact, didn't throw us a wiggle at all, went down here in the next 15-minute candle and broke that level, and then just did a little sideways dance, which also isn't too bad. So if we took the initial trade with Holly here and get this, then we have the range break. Then we've got something that's also a positive factor, a little sideways action establishing a lower range so that when it gets to this candle here or this candle here, it releases again. And that's also another time to add to a position, okay? That's when we got the majority. Also take a look at the volume levels here. Now, I know that volume levels are typically a lot higher than we've seen in the past because of the nature of the market, but still, almost 6, coming in at 5.81 at close, all right? So this guy was banging a lot of volume pretty much all day, and this is the classic case of a stock that typically doesn't do a lot of volume, so a lot of people might miss out on a stock like this because check out the 3-month volume right here, 128,000 shares a day, typically over a 3-month period. But today, it was very liquid, the bars were very tight, and that is the beauty. One of the beautiful things about the AI is that it pointed us in the direction of this stock today and presented a very good trading opportunity. So not quite finishing at 500,000 shares, but for me, you, and just about anybody else out there, that's plenty of liquidity to get in there and do a couple hundred shares, probably even 1,000 shares this thing was liquid for today. Bottom line, we got a nice release here, holding up well into the close for a very nice profit. What I was going to say earlier is that typically when we get this, stay in conservative mode for the remainder of the day. Yes, this webinar is being recorded and will be up on our YouTube channel probably a couple hours after. I know Scott likes to get them up there a little bit later in the day because it takes a while for the video to render, but it will be up there at some point later this evening. All right, what else we got? There was a little bit of spread here in the NGL from Mighty Mouse, but not really a whole lot. It looked like it tapped this one pretty good in the conservative risk mode, and then it just kind of pecked at the top of the range all day. Technically, we do have something here in the HDB, nothing to write home about, just didn't really move a whole lot from the signal area up here at 36.92. I guess at the best here, we were up a point at this level right here, but you know, knowing when to close that trade out when you're up a point versus where it might go, especially when we're looking at something like this on the daily, came all the way down and butted up against this area right here, which appears to be acting as support currently. All right, so once it got through that little wick right there, butting up against this area that's currently acting as support, that might have been a pretty good time to cover the trade there. What I've been having to do here lately is go to the weekly time frame because oops, sorry about that, because things are getting so jumbled up here on the daily. Now this makes it a lot clearer right here. So, you know, while we're in this market, while we've got these big swoons down, notice how easier it is to zero in on areas of potential support here, okay? And this one just perfectly wicked through there, which they typically do, and popped right back up. Other than that, you know, just a lot of stop-out trades this morning. Conservative mode seems to be winning out over taking more risk. Very similar to what we're seeing in the gaps right now. I mean, trying to figure out, you know, it's never easy trying to figure out if the market's going to gap up or down. But boy, right now with all the crazy stuff we have going on, it's never been more difficult. Having said that, still no sign of Andy, so we're just going to take a quick peek here at some of the major ETFs, and let's just go ahead and throw monthly up here on the SPY as well. Oh, I always want to go there and set my time frame. Notice what we did just yesterday, okay? Yesterday is when we came down here and put the wick in at this level right here, which before, I got a little too many lines here. Let me get rid of this couple of them, push them up here. Let me grab them. Okay, so before, notice the lines butting up perfectly with that wick from December 3rd, 2018. Notice on the last push down, what do? We just got right below it before we snapped it back up. Now keep in mind these are monthly candles, but you see what I'm talking about right here. Now the jury's still out, right? Are things going to get better with current macro conditions and the infamous virus that's currently making its way around the globe? How long is it going to take? Nobody knows. But just so you have all the potential scenarios of what might happen in your head, if the market doesn't find some bids and we don't creep on up tomorrow and put in a strong close, well then next week is fair game. Things get tumultuous again. This area right here sticks out like a sore thumb. If we do get more selling in the markets, if we don't get some good news pretty soon, wouldn't surprise me at all to come down here and test these levels as well. All right, let me see what Andy's up to here. Okay, for some reason he just can't get in. So give me a second here, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. So I guess it's just yours truly in here. I'm sure Andy had some really cool things to show you, and I think I know one of the things that he was going to show you, so we'll get to that in just a moment. But, you know, just in wrapping up here, these are the areas that you want to pay attention to moving forward. We might come down here and retest this level. If we get through this level and close below here, well, then this area down here could be a foregone conclusion. I hope that's not the case, but we have to factor in every potentiality here. All right, so it seems like GoToMeeting is does not like Andy anymore. He cannot get in. So moving right along here, let's pull his agenda back up here. Armageddon Toplist, yeah, we are going to definitely talk about that. Looks like he was going to talk about some engulfing patterns, some dojis, some hammers. Let's go ahead and talk about the Armageddon Toplist first, because boy, Andy told you about it last week, and in our little in-house fund, we were able to take advantage of some of the plays that that thing was spitting out. Here we go, Armageddon here. Okay, now check this little guy out. Okay, so Andy was hot and heavy on this Armageddon playlist last Thursday. Play at the time. We're just going to go ahead and switch back to daily here. And let's see here, on Thursday, that was on the 12th. So it was about right here, okay? So fast forward into this week, after Andy talked about this list, which was here on the 12th, look what play did. Another 1, 2, 3, 4 days down. And yesterday, we were able to scoop some of this up right at the $5 level. And you see what it did today. All right, this little guy almost doubled since yesterday. All right, went up here and topped out right at 980. They threw a couple of halts at us today, but it sure was a nice winning trade. And I'm sure it's not going to be the only one on here that gave some good action. Our RGB exhibiting more of the same pattern. You know, Andy was probably going to talk about on these plays, these stocks that are putting in the wick or maybe even a hammer candle on the daily are some of the better candidates. You can see RGB, they tried to keep it down here, the sellers, but they just couldn't keep it. We got a nice little doji close here, and then this guy worked pretty good as well. Take a look at Den. Not so juicy here, little wick, more of a body. Just gonna scan through these. Yeah, we got some upside action on RHP, but not exactly a hammer. This one looks a little bit better. This one looks pretty juicy. Didn't really put in a whole move today. So here's what I would recommend. And by the way, I'll drop this top list back in the chat area before we're done in case anybody out there does not have it but wants it. So when we see things like this forming, all right, a nice narrow range today. Well, I say narrow, but these are deceiving these days because they look small, but the ranges are pretty big. Case in point right here, 756 as a low in this little candle right here with a high of 946. So even though at first glance you wouldn't think that that's a 2-point range in that candle, but that's how crazy things are right now. All right, but nonetheless, all right, if you see this thing, if number one, if the market is strong tomorrow and a lot of these things are hitting today's high and they've got some volume behind them, these are some great, potential trades that could show up tomorrow. All right, you just have to be very much aware of the large ranges that are existing in some of these things. Citigroup not behaving so well today. Now this looks like play did, not quite play, one of these that's putting in more of a wick, but Citigroup definitely going to be on my radar for tomorrow because it's been beat down severely. It put in a little red hammer today. Would have, probably preferred to see it green, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that the trade is going to go up or down based on the color of this candle. All we know is that the sellers tried to take it down, snapped it back, and this establishes a downside range for us, okay? And once again, as we've said ad nauseum over the past 5, 6 webinars, in this market environment, since these ranges are so big on the day, what do you need to do in order to maintain your composure mentally, otherwise known as your sanity? And that is cut your size, double your stops, okay? So if you're typically doing 100 shares and Citigroup opens up in the middle of this candle tomorrow and looks strong, we can use this wick as our exit, even though it might be, let's see, what was the range here again? 1543, so we just call this a 3-point range in this little candle right here. If you're typically going in with 200 or 100 shares, cut it in half, cut it by a third. If you're typically doing 100 shares, do 50, do 30, okay? That way, if it does continue down, even though you're risking 2 points, it's not going to eat your lunch, okay? So just keep that in mind as you continue to navigate these markets. Cut your size in half, double your stops, okay? It just makes a whole lot of sense there. All right, looks like questions panel is pretty clear. So moving right along, once again, just looking for, once again, Citigroup, going to be on my radar for tomorrow. Might not be a bad idea as you're plotting your charts tonight, going through and looking at all the charts that we do at night. Take a high of this candle, which is 1543. Create that price alert, 1544. Save it. That way, you're going to have a nice alert. When this thing pops above there tomorrow, you'll be alerted to it. As you can see, I've already started building some of these. I just added City here. There's another one, another one, another one. So that's going to be my little task tonight, is going through this entire list and trying to identify what I think might be the more conducive ones. Example, GCO from yesterday. Nice little setup. Not so good there. A little sideways action. Beautiful action on that one. Little green, not quite a doji or a hammer there. A little skinny hammer. But look at the action that this thing put in today. Went from 11 up to 18 bucks today. All right, so hopefully everybody kind of gets the gist of what we're talking about here. That DRI, that was another good setup. But going back to Citigroup, might be setting up in that fashion for tomorrow's action. All right, so before I forget about it, what I'm going to go ahead and do is just pop this one in to the chat area. And that is the Armageddon Toplist. Okay, all right, so that is the Armageddon scanner. It's now in there. And Daniel, if you find your chat panel, you'll see the cloud link in there. Just click on the cloud link, copy it, load it up, and you'll be good to go for tomorrow. Now, having said that, I know Andy was going to talk about all these guys right here. Excuse me, engulfing, doji, and hammer. Now, we can scan through this list, which is highly advisable, and find those hammer candles or those wiki candles, and that way we know what our risk tolerance could be if that trade looks inviting tomorrow. But these other ones, the engulfing, the doji, and the hammer, we can also access our predefined lists. So, I'll tell you what we're going to do here. Let me just duplicate this list. And we've got all of these, or I say all of them. I know we have a few at least. Let's see what filters he's got in here. Okay, nothing earth-shattering here. All right, so we'll just leave that filter set in play. But we're going to pop back into configure, and we're going to go to our symbol list, and we're going to go to add existing. We're going to go down and find the daily. It's been a while since I accessed these guys. There we go. Okay, so engulfing, doji, and hammer. Whoops. All right, so doji. Let's attach the doji list to this list and take a peek at what's offered here. No longer the original Armageddon list. All right, so identifying the prior day doji, okay? Doji, stock closing exactly where it opened up. We're not seeing any green, any red, just a little cross there. and this guy put in some good action. Upside down doji. Perfect doji, and then following through. Of course, this is identifying yesterday's. Of course, when the morning rolls around, this thing will be identifying dojis that were exhibited today. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, right? Yesterday doji, but by the time the open rolls around tomorrow, it's going to be identifying stocks that exhibited dojis today. So that's why we're not seeing, you know, a doji today. Got to wait for the reset. But this one could be very enlightening tomorrow, because imagine if we had seen KN, a doji, right on the open. This little guy opened. Notice my metrics disappeared up here. I still don't know why that happens. Okay, there we go. So this little guy opened at 1150. Okay, opened right at the bottom of this body, candle body right here. All right, so we would have seen this morning right on the open, doji, and then an opportunity to purchase the stock at 1150, and we had a high of 1206. 50-cent move, small move in this market environment, but I think you can see what I'm talking about here. This one closed, what did we close at? 932. We had an open of 917 on this guy. So even if you got it at 920, 930, you still had a point run in this guy today up to 1034, top of the candle, wicked all the way up to almost $11. So hopefully you guys, this is resonating, right? Tomorrow we'll have a reset. You'll see anything that was exhibiting a doji today, and these can be great, great alerts, especially in these market conditions. All right, so that's doji. Now let's take a look. And by the way, once again, to access these, we're just going to switch this over to, let's look at some hammers now. And I've already got it there, so let's look at hammers. Okay, nice little red hammer. Let's see where this guy opened. We opened at 634. So whether you know, let's say you got it at 650, even in the 660s, this thing topped out at 8 and change today, 8 and 12 on ESI. Nice little red hammer in Sky. Stock opened at 1357 and ran all the way to 1570-ish. Little red hammer candle on Dish. This candle opened at 1853. Okay, so could have got it at 1860, 1870, and this thing topped out at 2331. So this is this is the perfect market for these type of candlestick daily patterns. SYY, red hammer yesterday, open today, 31.13, and topped out at $40.48. And lastly, Marriott. Nice little red hammer candle right here. Bar opened 61.18, a high of 72.70. Okay, so these very, very conducive in this type of market environment. Randy's asking what makes this perfect market for these, because you've never seen so many stocks get hammered down like this, okay? And they're starting to capitulate off the bottom, okay? This type of activity, once these big hammers get put in, okay, that's what I'm talking about here. You know, in a quote unquote regular market, there's not many stocks behaving like this, okay? Going down with such force and veracity that when the bottom gets put in and you see these hammer candles form, you know, they're there in a regular market, but right now with these market conditions, you're seeing a lot more of them. So Randy, let me know if that makes sense. And Ashraf, what about today hammer? Okay, if you're referring to, yeah, we're talking about they hammered yesterday and then they presented good opportunity today. Well, tomorrow after the reset, this is going to be showing you all the stocks that did a hammer today. Okay, we're looking at the ones that would have worked for, you know, today on the open, but tomorrow this list is going to be showing you all the things that exhibited hammers in today's session, because, you know, the market's cascading. All these stocks are putting in their hammer candles, the doji candles, but guess what? There's a lot more that have to finish bottoming out, and they're going to be putting in these same types of patterns tomorrow. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so we did dojis, we did hammers. Now let's look at engulfing. Do I have the engulfings? Not yet. Bullish engulfing. And of course, not quite as many, and I don't think there's going to be quite the opportunity that we see between the doji and the hammers. So let's take a look here. So this guy's engulfing these prior candles, because the high here, what do we have? We had a high of 1227, and we had a high of 1302 today. So bullish engulfing the day before right here. And then today's action, what do we have? We had an open of 1103, and then we topped out at 1302. So a nice little 2-point run from the time that you got the signal there on HRTX, PTLA. Candle right here opened up at 658 and ran up to 735. So not near as dramatic of a move, because we have the prior day engulfing candles. So I can tell you this, tomorrow I'll be focusing not only on the Armageddon Toplist in general, but looking for the doji and the hammers. Okay, just because those are my favorite ones. And from what we just went over here, some big moves occurred in those stocks today with the dojis and the hammers. All the juice hasn't been taken out by prior day bullish engulfing. So I'm sure I didn't put quite the finesse that Andy would have put on these plays, but hopefully everybody sees the benefit and the value. Now keep in mind, what I'm going to do here, let's just go back to the hammer setup here. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stocks showing up on the list. But of course, fiddling with the filter set here, we might be able to generate a few more. Let's see what happens. Okay, change in 20 days, just so everybody knows, the price was down at least 30% from 20 days ago. Now, the more we tighten this, you know, if we go down 40%, we're going to see less stocks show up. But what would happen if we said they only have to be down 20%? Of course, the probability of a bounce gets less the less we say they have to be down. So what do we have on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just see how this impacts. Okay. And of course, look, we added 2 stocks. They didn't work today. So what does that tell me? That tells me that this filter list that Andy had in here probably should be left just where it is, because as soon as I loosened it up a little bit, we got some losers on there, some things that didn't move in the northern direction today. So taking the Armageddon top list, leaving one as it is, and then duplicating, and then probably be a good idea to have one on the doji and one on the hammer. That's hammer already. Let's see if we get repeats. Let's see if we get duplicates here. Okay, and only one on here that didn't really, you know, light things up. Yep, so doji here, hammer here. Not seeing any repeats here. I don't see any of the ones on this list over here because they're distinctly different candle patterns. And when you look at all of these that closed green today, that's a very good sign. Only one over here did not. TV. So by watching the regular Armageddon list, the doji, and the hammer, I think that'll give you guys plenty of ammo for some nice upside trades tomorrow, assuming the market is conducive. You know, if we're just getting sold off, well, you know, change of plans. But assuming the market holds up and we can eke out a little bit of green tomorrow, I think these are going to be very productive windows. All right, little time check here. All right, we've done pretty good. And hold on one second, I've got a renegade pet here that's giving me problems. Okay, pardon that little interruption. So I think that's about all the juice I got today. You know, we didn't have Andy's expertise on the market recap, so we're going to finish up a little bit early today, but that's okay. You got some good windows to watch, and just remember, take the Armageddon top list, duplicate it, point one to doji, point one to hammer, and let's see what happens for tomorrow. So Scott, if you're ready to walk us out, let everybody know how they can save a little bit of cash on an upgrade or a new subscription. Well, I guess it's that time.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. A couple items on the way out. We've got the new support sessions that happen daily during market hours every day at 12 Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Just tune in trade-ideas.com/live. Bookmark that, check it out. It's live and you can ask questions. Great place to learn. Good opportunity for you to find out anything you want to know about trade ideas and the markets. Got a new ebook from our CIO, Dave Mabe, the creator of Holly and the Odds Maker. It has some sage advice on how to handle earnings season. So just go to trade-ideas.com/earnings. He's got some great strategies for you to employ for the next earnings season, and there's some cloud links embedded in there that you can import into your Trade Ideas layouts. So check it out. There's a podcast. We release these fairly frequently. Just search for Trade Ideas Podcast in whatever app you use. Search for that. Add us as a subscription. You'll be ready to catch the next fresh one when it comes out. And you can check out the back issues. We've got a couple of recent ones that have some interviews, and they're pretty interesting. So do add that to your subscription list. There's a code like we talked about at the top of the webinar. Going to save you 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas, or if you're a standard subscriber, off your upgrade. Just write it down, prime time, all caps, plug that in, and save. It's a good way to get started. Jamie is on Twitter. His Twitter handle is QuantBot. We've also got Steve Gomez at Today Trader and also at Trade Ideas, and some other handles you'll find if you follow those guys. Facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro is the Facebook handle to follow and like and share our posts with your friends. If you have any questions, always send them to info@trade-ideas.com. That goes into our help desk software. It gets routed to the appropriate team member to help you out as quickly and as most accurately as possible. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for flying solo. Andy was definitely having some internet issues today, but he'll be back next week. And thanks, everyone, for attending. There'll be the recording up later on.
My pleasure. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Good luck tomorrow. Keep it tight, and we'll see you in the